Hi, everybody. This is 1,159 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there in Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And information is pouring in um, about Dallas. And, there needs to be a lot of clarification on Dallas Hart, and his connection with our son, Richard Halliday. Clearly, the information coming in is quite the opposite of what Dallas Hart says it is. And so this information coming in is pretty shocking. And so for Team Fire Richard Halliday, um, tonight coming on so late again on a Sunday. Let's see if this is on. We've taken some time to look back at all the information that we were getting early on and see if it corroborates the information that we're getting from Dallas Hart, from James Hart, and from the information um, that we are being told that's very different from what I haven't heard from Leilani Hart, so I can't really talk about that. I have a lot of aliases, um, a lot of bullying. I don't know what role she plays in that, if she plays a role in that. The reason why I say that is because of her criminal history. She is a convicted criminal, and with all the people that I've spoken to about her, she's up to no good with harassment. And so, why would she not? Why would she not participate in harassment in this case? Because, well, some of the information that I heard about Leilani Hart early on, I wrote it down because I didn't want to get it wrong. Let me see. Um, that she was suicidal. She was suicidal. Um, Very unstable. Uh, Reported a false information. Um, she was saying that her husband was trying to kill her. Um, these are right after Richard went missing. So this is Leilani Hart. My husband is trying to kill me, right? Um, I think she, I think there's a report. This is what I'm being told, that she even attempted to commit suicide. Very unstable, um, and yeah. So, uh, and the law enforcement would absolutely know because she was involved with Thomas Kane. She was involved with Ann Ogle. She was involved with the office of the CID on Fort Bliss, so much so that she was bragging that she was running the CID. Okay? She also has connections with a lawyer, uh, very important, and also in other people, close relationships with other people in this case. That would shock you. So she and her, don't forget her notarized criminal complaint about her son, her her sons, her husband, her family. Um, I mean, even about herself, it was a confession because she failed to report. She failed to report that a 7-year old in her house, under the care of her family, was sexually assaulted in her master bedroom. Okay? That's not me. That is in this is involved in Richard's file, in Richard's case. This is her criminal complaint that she had notarized, that she confessed to, that has to do with my son's case. So this is really, really important. And Special Agent Soto did not bring this up. And it was absolutely there. Why didn't he bring it up? Why didn't he bring up that Richard was a whistleblower? Why didn't he bring up? I mean, we're looking at things right now that you would not even believe, because that they're keeping it from us. Just like Nadal Baim. They kept Nadal Baim from us, that he is the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, and says that he's with the FBI. He works for the FBI. He's an FBI employee, and that the FBI has found our son's remains in Juarez, Mexico. He's dead. Take down the flyers. And this is the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, that um, I don't even know where he is right now. And this is, an FBI employee. So it's, very, uh, I just, that's unbelievable that they kept that from us. That Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe kept that from us, because they knew that we were trying to find out who this man is, because what he said to the most authentic person in this entire case, the cashier at the Dollar General, she was totally authentic. And even Nadal was telling me this information. So, um, when I've talked to him twice on the phone. My husband's jaw dropped when we found out who he was. 32nd AdCom, that's our son's, our son's command. Easily for Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe to know who this Nadal Baim is. Easy for Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado to say, hey, that's my father-in-law. I messed up, or the FBI messed up, because the PAO, Allie Payne, Lieutenant Colonel Allie Payne, for Lieutenant Colonel Bernabe, said that they were working with the State Department in Juarez, Mexico, looking for Richard's remains, and also there on Fort Bliss at Area 244. During Christmas time, we received a call. They were looking for Richard's remains. These were partial remains. Okay. Partial remains in Mexico, partial remains on Fort Bliss, and we believe partial remains up in Red Rio Range. And there's a couple other areas that we're still looking at, but these areas I can mention now. And so with Leilani Hart, why didn't they tell us? This is very serious, when her husband, in charge of giving veterans their disability benefits, is involved in this, and being accused of incest, being accused of pedophilia, being accused of child pornography, being accused of buying weapons illegally, being accused of threatening to use these weapons on his own wife, being accused by Leilani Hart, not me, being accused by Lonnie Hart of having an affair with Lisa Lennon Williams at the VA and being engaged with fraudulent activities using veterans' information, including social security numbers, identities, to, I guess, get benefits or give benefits, trade benefits, disability benefits, fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, and coaching, Leilani Hart said he was coaching those, privileged, I guess, those that, would continue to let him do what he was doing, I guess. I don't know. But that he was doing all kinds of financial fraud. That was Leilani Hart. And that coaching soldiers in order to know what to say that was right so that they could get a higher disability benefit. That that's not my accusation. That's Leilani Hart's accusation because she was claiming that he was trying to kill her. He's trying to murder me. What, is there domestic problems? Yes, it's in her criminal record, domestic problems in her own home. That includes Dallas Hart. How did Dallas Hart uh, get into the military and get green to gold and become a platoon leader? And we have witness statements that say he was Delta Battery 143 platoon leader, that he was Richard's platoon leader. And he happens to be a first lieutenant, the exact, uh, the exact rank that you would need to be a platoon leader. Is that just a coincidence? And that the platoon leader is nowhere to be found? That we were never introduced to the platoon leader? We know who the captain is. Why weren't we introduced to these other members? We weren't even introduced to Michael Roddick. Of course not. Because he participated in the Code Red of Richard. Like Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward participated in the Code Red of Richard. I mean, we have now Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe participating in the Code Red of Richard. Because July 9th, 2020, the foundation, the reason, the excuse for, writing it down on paper why they were retaliating against Richard fell apart July 9th, 2020. Because they were trying to use the excuse that they take underage drinking seriously. And that fell apart. That fell apart on July 9th, 2020. They had nothing. They had nothing except, do they want to use a counseling slip? A counseling slip for 0.04 BAC? Where any kind of person that knows anything would know that is immiscible, that 0.04 is a squirt of perfume. And how is that machine calibrated? I mean, that is the percentage of error, right? What in the world? And they're using that to give a field grade Article 15 with maximum punishment? No wonder they had to sanitize Richard's official file and take it out of there and resend it. They didn't totally resend it because they only promoted Richard twice and they had demoted him 3 ranks because of that, with the retaliation in their code red that ultimately led to his murder. And now we have Lieutenant General Bernabe being caught with his SJA McGee, telling us Richard could have got 6 years in prison if he would have 6 years in prison if he would have went court-martial for something that on July 9th, they were telling us this in November of 2020, and it had fell apart, their basis for everything, on July 9th of 2020. Totally fell apart because the setup in January of 2020 was just that, a setup. And it was set up so badly that they could not keep it going. It had to be thrown out. It had to be thrown out because Richard didn't fall for it, what they were trying to do. And there was no evidence anywhere. Richard doesn't have a criminal history at all. Unlike what we're being told with Dallas Hart, that Dallas Hart, we need to look into it. That we're being told we need to look into it because this guy has a criminal history. And I'm like, what? No, you need to look into it, ma'am. You need to look into it. He has a criminal history. Why didn't the FBI look into it? Why didn't CID look into it? Does it have something to do with that Richard was a whistleblower? Richard was at Park University pursuing a career with the CID, that Richard was a CID intern, that Richard saw something, said something, and it involved the conduct, the bad conduct, the criminal conduct of the CID itself, dealing with this stuff. Because don't forget that Leilani Hart was bragging that she runs CID. She's having an affair with Special Agent CID Tavita Nusa. She is very closely involved with Thomas Kane, who is, really essentially part of the CID, being the chief of security of Fort Bliss, the chief of security of Fort Bliss, and the DES, the director of emergency services, absolutely work very closely with the CID. And, is she going to ask for favors for her son? She wanted a badge. She was also, I wonder, was she part of the CID internship with Richard? Because that's where she was, wanting to go in this coursework that she was doing at Park University. She was a student at Park University with others. And in connection with the Van Buren house. So it seems like it's all circling around Leilani Hart. But I don't know if it is. From what I'm getting, I'm thinking it's a circle around Dallas Hart. It's about Dallas's connections. Who was he involved with? What was going on in Delta Battery 143? What was going on in the arms room? What was going on with the tactical move storage unit? What was going on? If ma'am, look into this dude. He has a criminal history, right? if he has a criminal history, and I'm being told it's about illegal weapons, it's about drugs, it's about domestic violence, or assault, it's about assault and domestic problems, and I don't know. Dallas can tell me, but Dallas is, his dad. I went back. His dad said Dallas is a good boy. That's what James Hart told me. Dallas is a good boy. Is Dallas a good boy? Is Dallas a good boy? Not according to Leilani. According to Leilani, he's committing incest. According to Leilani, he is uh, not being too nice to 7-year-olds. That he's engaged in sexual nonsense, sexual crimes. That's according to Leilani. Um, and what about this child pornography? The child pornography. That's according to Leilani. That's according to his mother. And that's why I think Dallas Hart threw his mother under the bus when he was talking to me. She's crazy. She didn't know what she's talking about. Yada yada. Instead of coming out with an arrest warrant for her, I'm sorry. If I was, and at this point he was still in the military, and then later I think out of the military. Anyway, I've talked to him twice. But, where is the arrest warrant for someone that's telling the world that you're committing incest? This is not me. I want to make it very, very plain before anyone says, oh, well, you're on here. I'm on here talking about this very serious criminal complaint by a convicted criminal, confessing about a criminal family. And, Dallas cooperated with that because he said that his father was having an affair with 2 women. Oh, yeah, he has 2 girlfriends. He has 2 women. He's having an affair. Okay. And that's a whole nother story of, multiple marriages and whatever. And you can go down that rabbit hole. But the fact is that this criminal complaint that was notarized, that has all of these felony crimes in it, came from Leilani and is part of Richard's investigation. Part of, what happened to Richard? Where is his whereabouts? And why is this part of Richard's investigation? And why didn't CID tell us? And I think it has to do with Dallas Hart. I think Dallas Hart is the key. And the more I go back and look, I've never said Richard Halliday is a good boy. Uh, I said Richard did really well. Wow, Richard, you did really well. You're a saint. You're a saint. Meaning, he put himself last. He put the children first. He put the young mother first. And the service to our country. He put above his own safety. And it scared the heck out of him. It scared him. He did it with boldness, that came with the first video of him burning his Hollywood money, trying to make, a point to the prostituted females, you know, and the drugs, the whores and the blow, the whores and the blow, remember? And then it went to kind of a begging in a very nice way, a pleading. I think a pleading is a better way. You don't have to listen to me, Belen. You don't have to listen. But I just want to tell you that those people, they say that they respect you, but they really don't. They really don't. They think of you bad. Don't do it. Don't do it. The guys, they're just horny. They just want to see you naked. I think it's a pleading not to get involved with a strip online, um, or a club. Um, and yeah, and that's what he's saying. He's not saying, hey, come on, baby. He's not saying that. He's saying, don't do it. They don't respect you. They think of you bad. He's not putting his desires, you're talking about a 20-year-old, a beautiful 20-year-old male, full of vim and vigor. The height, I mean, well, males tend to be later in life. Women, 20 years old. 20 years old, they're at the height of their beauty, their vim and vigor. And he's telling this beauty, don't do it. They're going to turn you into a monster. They're going to turn you into a monster. Don't do it. They think of you bad. They don't really respect you. Now, I'm very proud of him for that. I am. And he paid with his life saying that, because the next video, he's apologetic. He's begging for his life. He fears for his life. Why? Because you've got the director of emergency services involved in this. You've got the CID involved in this, and the FBI, and you've got the administrator for child youth services involved in this. 85,000 unaccounted for minors. Think she's doing her job? What's her job in the first place? What is her job really? And then you've got the likes of James Hart and Leilani Hart with, a criminal, a convicted criminal having connections with a lawyer. Let's meet there at Cincinnati and then go and get Kocherga to obstruct justice. Because Richard doesn't have connections. He's just a minority that stands on his faith, a minority that stands on his convictions, a minority that puts others first, that puts what's right first. A hero, a true hero. And very young. I'm very proud of him for that. So the criminal syndicate, you can say, oh, see, you better not be a whistleblower. You better not stand on your convictions. You better not do that, because they're going to shoot you in the head. They're going to have an oops. oh, that gun, or whatever. However, if that doesn't work, then we'll just chop up, whatever. But that's okay. I got a plane to take pieces away. We got a plan. We got a house that we can meet at and plan all this out. And we've got prosecutors on our side, so we can carry this out. I mean, this is and monies. Let's just funnel the money in because it's very expensive to cover something like this up, and they have to be covering something. Are they covering Leilani Hart up? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, she might be good at her hula dancing, but I don't think they're covering for her. I think they would throw her under the bus, just like others. I think they would. Um, yeah, she just knows too much, or there's like two teams for them, like football teams or whatever. Maybe she's the Dallas Cowboys, and the other ones are the um, I don't know, what are the football teams right now? I know the Dallas Cowboys because I performed at three Dallas Cowboy games. I did. I did. I performed at three Dallas Cowboy games. Um, I need to find those pictures and put it up. Yeah, the Temple Wildcats. The Temple Wildcats marching band. We performed at three. One, I would have done four, but the one year they were on strike, and so the it was canceled. But yeah, so I know I stood about 5 feet away from Tony Dorsett and Roger Staubach. That tells you my age a little bit. Tells you my age a little bit. But those were the days. That was Roger Staubach was um, the quarterback, and of course everyone knows who Tony Dorsett. That man could run fast and catch great. Anyway, yeah, I performed at three halftime games for the Dallas Cowboys. So I used to really love football. Um, I think COVID cured me of football of the NFL. Let's say cured me of the NFL. Um, but the game itself is just fantastic game. I love it. And after living in Ireland, this is a little bonus, I guess. Going off a little bit, but rugby doesn't appeal to me as much, you know. And some people say football is such a American football, it's such a slow game. No, I really loved it. I really loved that game, and I really used to love the Dallas Cowboys. Um, yeah, I just used to love them. But I'm trying to remember the guy with the hat, the coach at that time. Just amazing, amazing coach. Different league was really, but anyway, going back to Dallas, he's a football star, right? Was he a football star? I don't know. I think he played football. He played football. I saw like a little video of him ringing a bell or something like that. And I know a lot about football players. Uh, so they get a lot of privileges. They get a lot of privileges. If you're a good football player, you get a lot of privileges. Um, but we're being told a couple things, and I posted it up, and it needs clarification that he has a past. He has a past besides the football, besides the Army that's no good, and that he was in possession of Richard's vehicle. And would CID lie to us about the vehicle? Would others lie to us about the vehicle? 100% they would lie. Did they lie? I don't know. Would they lie? 100%. We've been so lied to throughout this whole thing. If Dallas Hart was in possession of Richard's vehicle, I mean, we just learned. How can you keep up with all of this news? That July 9th, 2020, Richard got word, I guess. Richard got word. Um, that his record was clean, clean. And that all of the assault, the retaliation that was levied against him for months was for naught. That must have made him feel pretty good. I don't know what he would have done. You know, was that why the code red came from the higher ups? Because they were like, oops, we just destroyed this soldier. And now there's no basis for that destruction, because what we were using as an excuse for the basis of the Gomar, for the basis of the Chapter 14, for the base of the Field Grade Article 15 is no more. There's nothing there. So we're going to have to, what are the consequences of that? Do we have to go back and apologize? Do we have to go back and apologize and promote Richard? Give him back everything, rescind everything? How many times has the Army rescinded anything? I wonder what they thought then when Team Find Richard Halliday put the petition out to rescind the Field Grade Article 15. That must have been a ghost haunting them. Because I think they had to think, oh, wow, we need to rescind it or we need to kill him. Because this soldier is clean. How can that happen? How can a soldier be clean? We work our darndest to make them drug addicts. We work our darndest to make them rapists. We work our darndest to make them part of sex cults. We work our darndest to have frat parties every day and let them become alcoholics or just, drink themselves silly every night. We work our hardest to make them spend all that money that we give them, and we work our hardest to send them to unjust wars and bring in those. When their morale gets bad, we work our hardest to get them suicided, and we work our hardest to bring in those 14-year-old girls and for them to, spend their money on up to no good. Up to no good. Those poor children. So do they work their hardest to turn our soldiers into pedophiles too with child pornography? Because let me tell you, I was told the porn flows. The porn flows from these private servers, and they just airdrop them, and it's not something that is hard to get at all. Porn and child porn. And we work our hardest with the weapons. I mean, the barracks flush with weapons. I mean, this is what the leaders are like. Oh my gosh, the foundation, the basis for everything that we did to Richard Halliday with the Code Red is now gone. The bottom has fallen out. We have, we built our retaliation, our Code Red on sand, and now it has washed away, and Richard is clean. He's clean. And we just took 3 ranks away from him, 50% of his pay for 2 months, 45 days of extra duty wearing full battle gear and a mask. We just did the chaptering, 4 months of chaptering of harassment, calling him every name in the book. And who knows else what they did to him. And Major General Clem Coward would have to eat crow and rescind that Gomar, that soup sandwich Gomar. Oh, maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we just need to kill him. I just think it's a motive. I don't know if it's true, but I think it's a motive. And and when you're the platoon leader, I don't know. Are you given that kind of order? Are you, you know, what's going on? What's going on here with this platoon leader, Dallas Hart? Um, does does he have this record of assault, of violence, violence on children, violence on adults? Does he have that kind of record? Leilani Hart is saying he has a he's not clean. That's what she's saying. And a notarized. And she's not arrested for it. You see, he doesn't arrest her for it. My mom's calling me a rapist, but I'm not arrested for it. Um, I don't know. I just think this is uh, if Dallas was in possession of Richard's vehicle, would they lie to us about that? I don't know, and I'm saying it because I need some clarification. And maybe there are people out there, 941-677-0060, some people out there that can clarify that. Clarify that. And also, you need to ring Angela Kucherga because we're getting all kinds of information coming out of Fort Bliss about Dallas Hart. And it's going to come out and come out and come out. And we're going to ask for clarification on all of this. And Angela Kucherga could talk to the general there, talk to her connections there, could do those background checks, could, she's right there, and she could clarify this and, make Dallas Hart look really good, which would in turn make Leilani Hart look very good. Why doesn't she do that? Because then she could really obstruct this case. You see, by making them look good, she would make Fort Bliss look good, make the JAG look good, and and she could really obstruct this case further. Because I can tell you this for a fact, she does not care about this case when it comes to finding Richard. Let me clarify that. She cares about this case, but she doesn't care about finding Richard. So that's suspicious. And so many others don't care about finding Richard, finding the culprit who murdered him, finding those, holding those accountable that carried out the Code Red, hold those accountable that carried out the continuous and severe retaliation against a whistleblower. A whistleblower. They should all be outraged. We should all be outraged. And there was one a very courageous soldier that was very, very concerned about this and put in an inquiry for a congressional, which is moving forward. And that soldier um, absolutely needs our support, and therefore we did another petition. It's been a while since we did a petition, but we thought this was a petition that everyone could get behind because it is supporting a service member, an active duty soldier at Fort Bliss that is reporting concerns about the JAG, about the security of Fort Bliss, about a 14-year-old girl being prostituted out in the barracks while living in the barracks, and then, of course, Richard Halliday's case. And, you know, this is, who doesn't want to know that? Who doesn't want to inquire about why the JAG is ignoring soldiers? Um, Say something, right? See something, say something on fraud, waste, and abuse. So please sign that petition. We're very close to 200. We're getting close to 200 signatures. So sign the petition and don't stop there. Campaign, campaign for signatures for that petition to surround this soldier with a hedge to drive Veronica Escobar, his representative, to do the right thing, to drive Senator Ted Cruz, who has oversight of Fort Bliss, to do the right thing, who absolutely knows about Richard's case, okay? They both know about Richard's case. And so those are good choices from this active duty soldier. Um, and we need to hedge around him. We need to be encircle him like angels and pray for him. And you can do that with a signature. It's very, very powerful. People don't even know how powerful it is to have, you know, well, you saw that during 2020, when you have a bunch of people coming together, and saying something and backing someone up, you can't ignore it. And so that's why this is so important. You know how powerful it is to have. Okay, so Anicia, thank you so much for coming on. Marilyn, thank you. I pray for the truth to come out. Thank you. We're very appreciative for your prayers. Danielle, same thing for your prayers and your love. Why hasn't the vehicle been turned over to you? They told us it had been sold. Um, how did they get Richard's vehicle? Why do they still have it? The vehicle, we were told that when Richard in March 28th was at the border, that his vehicle was impounded, and that he called up and said for um, the dealer to take it and to sell it. Well, I looked up the dealer. I haven't found the dealer. The dealer doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. I haven't found the dealer. Um, that you know, it's been weighing on us. Because how we need to know about Richard's vehicle, what really happened to it, and then the information came out that Dallas was in possession of Richard's vehicle. And there's more, y'all. They, there's so much identity theft today, and it's become very profitable. So this is a real concern in this case. a real concern. Um, an impound yard would have this information. Yes. Yep. So that's another thing, right? Another thing. Um, yep. We just got to do it. Got to do it all the time. Yes. So, yeah. And does, yes. It is, it's like this white van, this white van, this Van Buren houses, um, the VA, the the warrants, working to get the warrants because those are so important. Um, the CPS complaints. It's, the costs, the monies, following the money. It is, you don't have to wonder why these criminal syndicates thrive and get away with what they get away with. You don't have to wonder because they infiltrate and, and it becomes like a football game for them. And they move that ball, and there is support, there is institutional support for us now, but can you imagine what it was like with the COVID? Oh my gosh. I hate COVID so bad. Um it was so bad. And then people would say, "What does COVID have to do with it?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's so bad." Um the the breakdown of the institutions was so bad. And so that's why we are very appreciative for you because we would not be here this far if it wasn't for the public paying attention and knowing that this is not, for us it's about Richard, but for many it's not just about Richard. It's about every service member. It's about our military. It's about our institutions and the breakdown of our institutions. It's about the criminal culture that is, putting our soldiers in more danger than any war, than any foreign country. That, the 44 four-star generals that are serving foreign and domestic enemies instead of defending our Constitution like they're supposed to be doing, and being so careless with every life that's underneath them. I mean, every life. They're so careless. Matter of fact, I think they enjoy warring. They've grown callous to life itself. And yeah, so that's become very clear. So I think people are paying attention because they're, and I want to make this, uh, my point clear, is so many are without hope. Oh, we can never do this. No, 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 y'all. That is what they want. We can do this. To despair is to turn your back on God, right? To despair is their friend, our enemy. And, in the Pilgrim's Progress, It is the giant despair, right? Giant despair, the castle of giant despair, which is, these giants that want to eat faithful and Christian. They want to eat them. And, faithful and Christian are like, why aren't these giants just killing us and eating us? And they figure it out. As long as we don't despair and want our own suicide, our own death, we have to kill ourselves with our despair in order for them to eat us. They're not allowed to kill us. We have to kill ourselves and then they can eat us. I mean, it was really an unbelievable lesson this last year. Here I'm like, okay, give me something to do besides Richard. Okay, I am going to teach these preteens Sunday school. And what do you want me to do? Oh, we want you to do Pilgrim's Progress. Oh, okay, I'll do Pilgrim's Progress. Oh, I love Pilgrim's Progress. I did that years ago. Then I'm doing it again, and it all has different meaning to me now. Totally different meaning. And I'm reading about giant despair, and I'm like, Pat, you can win this thing. You can find out what happened to Richard as long as you don't despair. God's going to take care of it. God's going to take care of it, and the stars in their course will fight against Sisera. And look at where we've come. Everything is surrounding criminal activity and not Richard. At the beginning, they were just smearing Richard, and everything was around, oh, he's not worth it. And it's like, what? Now he's a whistleblower. He's a hero. He he's so clean. We can all be proud of him, and I was proud of him to begin with. But uh, because I'm like, well, you guys are all mental. You're all insane. I don't know how many times I said that. They're just insane. The insanity is incredible because the whole case was laced in insanity, right? Because of these smear campaigns and everything. Well, now it's not. We have real motives. We have real motives for the code red. Right now, we have a real motive for the code red. Besides the drug trafficking, illegal drug, besides the child pornography, which is almost normalized. Now it's like, oh, well, whatever. And I'm like, nope, nope. Um, and besides the equipment and the weapons and the ammunition trafficking, where, they're just saying, well, we're $33 trillion in debt right now, Of course, we've had the smuggling of our equipment on the American dime. Of course, we've had that. Because what do we have to show for it? We don't have anything to show for our $33 trillion. Trillion dollars. We should be on gold streets, right? And there should never, ever be a traffic jam because we should have so many roads. Probably be in flying vehicles because 33 trillion could buy it all, could do it all easily, maybe three times, maybe more, maybe 10 times. 33 trillions is an astronomical amount of money. And, of course, there's smuggling going on. Of course there is. But besides all of that criminal activity, we have a real motive for the code red on Richard. And it is because they retaliated against him for his whistleblowing. And they did it so badly that it fell right from underneath their feet. Obviously, what were they going to do after July 9th, 2020? To restore Richard. And they all had to suffer for their abuse of power. Their abuse of power. I don't know if they wanted to admit their abuse of power. Was Michael Roddick going to admit his abuse of power? Was David Park, Captain Park, going to admit his abuse of power when he, even when he knows that they did Richard in, he's pointing his finger at me in this letter. You're the problem, lady. And I'm like, what? This is my son. He's missing. And you're honing into Darth Vader and bold facing all the things that you tried to do to Richard. And when you should be bold typing that he was clean, clean, no, nothing found. You didn't bold that. I mean, that letter, um, yeah. So there is definitely a probable cause for a motive, and then some, and then some. Yeah, it is just that big. So, yeah, I guess we're going to have to be really honing into this car like the other van and seeing whatever DA's in there, it'll last. One really fantastic thing that I learned through all of this is that, there could be blood or DNA somewhere and the dog could smell it. The dog could smell it 15 years later. They know. So, yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for your questions and coming on a Sunday and giving your time for so long. And we love you. Please sign that petition for the soldiers' sake. And it's really, really important because um, he's under so much pressure. I can't imagine, right? And thank you so much for that. Okay, everyone, God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow with more, God willing.